back to the channel. Are you looking for a simple, easy recipe to cook at night when you get home from work? Well, this is a pork chop dinner that's simple and easy, and it's in the Southern Living Cookbook, the 1980 edition, and I'm going to share it with y'all. It's a one-pot meal, it's fast, simple, and most of these ingredients you already have in your pantry. So come on and let's get started on cooking this pork chop dinner. Okay, here's the pork chop dinner we're cooking tonight. And this is the recipe, and we're going to go over it step by step, and I'll show you how to make this pork chop dinner. It says we need 2 1/2-inch thick loin pork chops. And it says to start off by sprinkling your pork chops with salt and pepper, brown on both sides, and oil. And the oil we're going to use today is going to be some olive oil. So let's start by adding that to our pan and letting our oil heat up. The recipe says 1 tablespoon, but I added just a little bit more. Okay, there's our 2 pork chops we're going to put in this recipe, and they are about a 1/2-inch thick. So we're letting our oil heat up, and we're fixing to salt and pepper them and put them in the iron skillet. We're going to start off by adding black pepper and salt to this side, then flip them and do the other side the same way. And this recipe is out of the, like we said, the Southern Living Cookbook from the 1980s. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and add our 2 pork chops to our iron skillet. And it says to just brown them on both sides. You're not trying to cook them all the way through. We're going to set that back there because we've got to set them to the side when we get them brown and do the next step. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip them. We're just wanting to get them a light golden brown. See how brown that side is. Oh yeah, you don't want to get them too brown because it says just light golden brown. Okay, that's about how brown we're going to try them. So I'm going ahead now and take those out and set them to the side. And then it says to keep your grease in your pan and all the drippings. Don't drain it or try to get rid of it. Use the same skillet. And we're going to add our peppers and onions. One-fourth cup of each. I'm going to salt and pepper my peppers and onions. And we're going to let those start cooking until it says they get tender or a light golden brown. Okay, I took my vegetable scissors and chopped them up into little dices so they won't be so big because they were frozen, so I had to let them cook just a minute so it would make it a lot easier to dice them up. They're starting to smell good. Okay, that's about how brown I want my peppers and onions. If you want them browner, you can cook them more. And now it says to stir in your rice. That's a half a cup of rice. One can of diced tomatoes, or you could use regular tomatoes, it says, if you had your own, but I'm going to use a can. It says 1 1/2 cup canned tomatoes, so I'm just going to use this cup of diced tomatoes I have instead of trying to do fresh. And now we're going to add a 1/4 of a teaspoon of sugar, and that's just to take that bitterness out of those tomatoes. I'm not going to measure this, but it says a 1/2 teaspoon of yellow mustard. And it says 1 teaspoon of salt, but I'm just going to eyeball it. But you got to put your salt in there because of the rice. Okay, and now we're going to give that a mix. And those tomatoes are going to cook down, and you're going to get all that juice out of those tomatoes. And then it says, bring to boil. Now it says to place the pork chops back on top. Bring to a good boil, reduce heat, and cover. And let it cook for 30 minutes until the rice is tender and pork chops are done. So we're going to let that get to boiling good. And then I'm going to reduce the heat and cover the lid, put a lid on it. Okay, it's starting to boil, and y'all look how much water has come out of the tomatoes, how they're starting to cook down. Okay, I've got it boiling good, so I'm going to cut my heat on like a medium low, and we're going to cover it up. Sit there for the 30 minutes. All right, we've turned the heat off, and now we're going to check it. That looks pretty good, just to be a simple, easy recipe. We'll let you see how the rice is good and tender. You can tell. The pork chops are done. We're going to let this sit here and cool for just a minute. And we'll serve us up a plate and let y'all see how it turned out. But it looks like it's gonna taste delicious. And like I was saying, if you have more in your family, you could add 2 more pork chops or ever what you wanted to do. And if you needed to double this recipe, you could use a bigger skillet and add a whole cup of rice instead of a half a cup of rice. But that half a cup gave us all that. So that's plenty for 2 people. So if this was a 2-person meal, they'd be enough for lunch the next day. Okay, I've let it sit here for about 10 minutes and cool down just a little bit. But there we have our dinner, all in a 1-pot meal. Guess you could say a 1-skillet meal. But let's turn around here and I'm gonna set y'all down so I can serve us up a plate. We'll start by taking us a pork chop and just placing it in there. Then I'm going to get one of the scoops, just like about probably a half a cup. Well, that's about probably a cup of the rice mixture for me. Let me get y'all where y'all can see. But that's what it turned out like. The rice is not dry. It looks like it's going to be good, y'all. And y'all remember, food and family. A family that eats together stays together. Thanks for watching.